The coffee cup slipped from my fingers and shattered on the linoleum floor. Hot liquid splashing up my legs like a slap I deserved. I froze there behind the counter, heart pounding as if it knew what came next. The bell above the door jingling like a warning too late to heed. And then she walked in, rain-soaked and wild-eyed, her voice cutting through the steam like a blade. "Make it strong. Black. Now." That was the moment everything cracked open. Though I didn't know it yet. "My name is Holly. And that summer in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, I was just another 22-year-old scraping by on tips and dreams deferred. College back home in Philly felt like a distant hum, buried under student loans and a biology major I picked because it sounded safe. The beach boardwalk cafe where I worked, Saltwater Brews, was my temporary anchor. A wooden shack slapped together with faded blue paint and counters sticky from endless iced lattes. Mornings started at dawn, hauling in crates of beans and syrups, the air thick with salt and sunscreen from the tourists shuffling past. I liked the rhythm of it. The mindless pour and steam. The way it let my mind wander without demanding too much. Until Ivy. She ordered the same thing every time after that first crash. Black coffee. No frills. Handed over with a nod that lingered just a second too long. I learned her name from the scribble on her cup. The one I started writing with a flourish. Like it mattered. Ivy Chen. Though she corrected me once to just Ivy. Her voice low and gravelly from too many late nights. She was 25. A graphic designer who freelanced from a beat-up van parked down by the dunes. Chasing gigs that paid in exposure and ramen noodles. American-born. But with stories of dim-sum Sundays in Philly's Chinatown woven into her laugh. The kind that made you lean in closer. She had this way of filling the space. Not loud. But present. Like the ocean's pull you feel before the wave hits. I caught myself watching for her between rushes. Wiping the same spot on the counter until my knuckles whitened. The boardwalk buzzed with families in flip-flops. Kids chasing seagulls. The distant roar of the Atlantic swallowing screams from the roller coaster up the pier. But my eyes would flick to the door. Pulse quickening at every shadow. Why her? It wasn't the way she looked. Though God. That helped. Short black hair that curled at the ends when it rained. Olive skin dotted with freckles from the sun. Eyes like polished chestnuts that saw right through the small talk. It was the quiet storm in her. The sketches she doodled on napkins while waiting. Lines that twisted into faces and waves. Raw and unpolished. She left them behind sometimes. And I'd slip them into my apron pocket. Unfolding them later under the harsh bulb of my shared rental. Tracing the edges with fingers that trembled just a little. One afternoon. The sky hung low and bruised. Thunder rumbling like a promise kept. The cafe emptied fast. Chairs scraping as folks bolted for cover. I stayed. Wiping down tables that didn't need it. The radio crackling with some old Springsteen tune about glory days that felt mocking. The bell jingled again. And there she was. Shaking water from her jacket like a dog fresh from the surf. "Still open?" she asked. Voice cutting the static. "For you?" "Always." The words slipped out before I could cage them. And heat flooded my cheeks. I busied myself with the pot. Pouring slow. The steam curling between us like smoke from a shared secret. She slid onto a stool. Elbows on the counter. Chin in hands. "Rough day out there. Client bailed on a deadline. Said my designs were too edgy." "Can you believe that? Too edgy for a surf shop logo." Her laugh was bitter. Edged with something sharper. And I wanted to reach across. Smooth it away. I set the mug down. Our fingers brushing for the first time. Electric. That touch. Like static from the storm outside. Edgy's good. Safe's boring. "Show me sometime?" Her eyes lifted. Holding mine. And the air thickened. "Maybe I will. If you promise not to run." I didn't run. Not then. We talked until the rain eased to a drizzle. Her story spilling out like the drops on the window. Grew up in South Jersey. Parents who ran a laundromat. Always pushing for steady jobs. The kind with benefits and 401ks. She bolted after high school. Art school in New York that chewed her up and spat her out with debt and a portfolio full of maybes. Now she bounced between gigs. The van her home on wheels. Parked wherever the Wi-Fi was free and the views inspired. "Freedom's overrated," she said. stirring her coffee absently. But it's mine. I nodded. Throat tight. Sharing bits of my own cage. The pressure from mom to settle. Date the right guy from church. The biology degree that felt like chains disguised as opportunity. I envy that. The road. No anchors. She tilted her head. Studying me. Anchors keep you from drifting too far. Sometimes you need them. That night, I lay on my lumpy mattress in the attic room I shared with two other seasonal girls. The fan whirring lazy circles overhead. Sleep wouldn't come. Her napkin sketches lay spread on the floor, illuminated by moonlight sneaking through the blinds. Faces. Mostly. Women with eyes like hers. Fierce and unguarded. My chest ached. A pull I couldn't name. Warm and terrifying. I dated guys in college. Awkward fumblings in dorm rooms that left me hollow. But this. Watching her lips curve around words. The way her laugh vibrated through me. It stirred something deeper. A whisper I'd ignored since high school locker room glances that made my stomach flip. Days blurred into weeks. The summer heat pressing down like a hand on my shoulder. The cafe became our unspoken meeting ground. She'd show up mid-shift, sketching while I frothed milk for the lunch crowd. Our conversations weaving through the clatter of spoons and chatter. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in strokes of orange and pink, she slid a fresh napkin my way. Your turn. Draw something. I laughed, shaking my head. Can't. Stick figures are my limit. Try. Her foot nudged mine under the counter. Accidental on purpose. And I picked up the pencil, sketching a wonky wave crashing into a coffee cup. She leaned in, breath warm on my arm. That's us. Chaos meeting calm. My hand stilled, pencil hovering. Is that what this is? Her silence stretched, heavy with unsaid things. Then, soft. Maybe. The boardwalk lights flickered on as I closed up. Strings of bulbs glowing like fireflies against the twilight. She waited outside, leaning against the railing, van keys dangling from her fingers. Walk with me. We strolled the planks, the wood creaking under our steps. The ocean's murmur a constant companion. Families packed up beach chairs, the air cooling with the promise of night. She talked about a trip she wanted to take. Up the coast to Maine. Chasing lighthouses for a photo series that might land her a real client. Come with me, she said suddenly. Stopping at the pier's edge. Waves slapping below. I stared at her. Wind tugging at my ponytail. I can't. Job. Rent. Responsibilities. Life's not a checklist. Holly. Her voice cracked. Just a hair. And she stepped closer. The space between us shrinking to breaths. What if this is the detour you need? My heart hammered. A bird trapped in my ribs. I wanted to say yes. To climb into that van and leave the salt-stuck summer behind. But fear coiled tight. The what-ifs whispering loud. What if it broke me? What if I broke her? Instead, I murmured. Let me think. She nodded. Eyes shadowed. Don't think too long. Summer's slipping. That night, alone in the attic, I paced the creaky boards. The other girl snores a distant rumble. Sighs escaped me, heavy and ragged, as I replayed her words. Her nearness. The pull was undeniable now. A tide dragging me under. I texted her at 2 a.m. Fingers flying before doubt could catch up. Tell me more about Maine. Her reply buzzed instant. Pick you up at dawn. Pack light. I didn't sleep after that. Dawn found me slipping from the house. Duffel slung over my shoulder. Heart a wild drum. The van idled at the curb. Engine humming low. Ivy behind the wheel with a grin that lit the gray morning. Ready to chase storms? We drove north. Windows down. The Jersey Turnpike giving way to Delaware bridges and Maryland marshes. She played mixtapes of indie folk. Voices twanging about lost loves and open roads. Her hand brushing mine on the gearshift now and then. Deliberate accidents that sent sparks up my arm. We stopped at dive diners for greasy eggs and coffee that tasted like home. Laughing over maps that led us astray. In Rehoboth, we parked by the beach. Toes and sand still cool from night. Her sketching the horizon while I gathered shells. Pocketing ones that caught the light like her eyes. But under the ease, tension simmered. I'd catch her glancing over. Expression unreadable. And wonder if she felt it too. This fragile thing blooming between us. One evening in a Virginia campground. Fire crackling under stars thick as spilled sugar. She passed me a beer from the cooler. "Why biology?" she asked. Flames dancing in her reflection. I shrugged. Label peeling under my thumb. Mom said it was practical. Save lives. Pay bills. But I freeze in labs. All those slides and equations. Feels like I'm dissecting myself. She poked the fire. Sparks rising. Art's the same. Clients want pretty boxes. But I see fractures. Beauty in the breaks. Her voice softened. Gaze on me. You're not broken, Holly. Just bent a little. Tears pricked. Unbidden. And I blinked them back. The fire's warmth no match for the chill in my chest. What if I can't straighten out? She set her bottle down. Shifting closer on the log. Our knees touching. Then stay bent. With me. The words hung. A bridge waiting. I leaned in. Or maybe she did. Our lips meeting soft and tentative. Tasting of smoke and salt. It was like coming home to a place I'd never been. Her hand cupping my cheek. Thumb tracing my jaw. We kissed until the fire died to embers. Pulling apart with sighs that mingled in the night air. I've wanted that since the spilled coffee, she whispered. Forehead to mine. Me too. Relief flooded me. Sweet and sharp. But laced with the old fear. What now? This wasn't a fling, it was roots pushing through concrete. We pressed on. Crossing into the Carolinas. The landscape shifting to pine thickets and rolling hills. Charleston charmed us with its wrought iron balconies and ghost tours. We skipped for walks along the Battery. Her arm around my waist casual as breathing. But doubts crept in whispers. My phone buzzed with texts from home. Mom asking when I'd be back for the fall semester. The cafe manager wondering about my shifts. Reality nipping at our heels. One humid afternoon in a Savannah square. Moss-draped oaks framing us like a painting. She spread her sketches on a bench. This series. For a gallery pitch. Think it'll fly? I studied the pages. Women emerging from waves. Faces half shadow. Strength in their storm-tossed eyes. It's you. Raw. They'll love it. But my voice wavered. And she noticed. Setting the pad aside. What's eating you? I sat beside her. Hands twisting in my lap. This. Us. It's perfect. But temporary. I go back to classes. You to the road. What if we unravel? Her sigh was long. Weary. Fingers threading through mine. Roads cross. Holly. Doesn't mean they end. But her eyes held the same shadow. The unspoken truth that freedom came with fractures. We drove in silence that evening. Radio off. The hum of tires filling the void. Night fell over a Georgia motel. Neon sign buzzing pink promise. Inside the room. Sheets crisp and foreign. We undressed slow. Exploring with hands and lips that mapped new territories. Her skin was warm silk under my palms. Breaths hitching as I traced the curve of her hip. The dip of her collarbone. Stay, she murmured against my neck. Body arching into mine. I am. For now. Pleasure washed over us in waves. Tender and fierce. Sighs breaking into moans that echoed off thin walls. Afterward. Tangled in limbs and damp sheets. I traced tattoos on her shoulder. A compass rose inked in faded blue. Where to next? Anywhere. Her voice was sleepy. Content. As long as it's with you. But morning brought clarity's cruel light. Over motel coffee. Black and bitter. She showed me an email on her phone. A gallery in Portland, Maine. Interested in her work. Real money. A show. If I leave now. I can make it. My stomach knotted. Spoon clinking too loud against ceramic. Go. This is your shot. She reached across the table. Grip fierce. Come. Be my muse. Temptation warred with terror. The biology textbooks waiting in Philly like sentinels. I can't drop everything. Not yet. Her face fell. Mask slipping to reveal the hurt beneath. Then what are we doing? Figuring it out. Weak words. But they were all I had. We parted with a hug that bruised. Her van pulling away north. taillights fading into the haze. I hitchhiked south, thumb out on a highway that blurred through tears. The shells in my pocket digging like reminders. Back at Saltwater Brews. The routine swallowed me whole. Pours and smiles. Tips jingling in jars. But hollow now. Napkins stayed blank, the boardwalk felt narrower. The ocean's roar mocking. Weeks dragged. August heat wilting into September's edge. Mom called. Voice bright with plans for my return. Oblivious to the ache carving me out. Then, 2 days before I packed for Philly. The bell jingled mid-close. Ivy stood there. Portfolio under arm. Eyes red-rimmed from road dust or something deeper. Portland said yes. But I couldn't go without you. I dropped the rag. Crossing the counter in 3 strides. What does that mean? She set the case down. Stepping into my space. Hands framing my face. It means I'm staying. Or we're going together. After you graduate. Biology and art. We build something real. Tears spilled. Hot and freeing. As I pulled her close. Our kiss salt-tinged and sure. Together. We didn't rush the details that night. Content in the quiet of the empty cafe. Her head on my shoulder as waves whispered approval outside. Summer ended. But the stir in my heart lingered. A compass pointing true. Life's not straight lines or safe harbors, it's the bends that lead you home. To the one who sees your fractures and calls them beautiful. And in the soft glow of boardwalk lights. With Ivy's hand in mine. I finally believed it. The drive to Philly felt like shedding skin. The Jersey Shore shrinking in the rearview until it was just a smudge of blue against the skyline. Ivy rode shotgun. Her van traded for a rental coupe that smelled of new leather and possibility. We talked in circles about logistics. Her galleries show a distant hum on the horizon. My classes looming like storm clouds. You'll hate the city winters, I warned. Merging onto I-95. Traffic a snarl of horns and exhaust. She smirked. Foot tapping to the radio's indie strum. Hate's a strong word. I'll bundle up. Sketch the snow till it melts. I glanced over. Her profile sharp against the passing billboards. That blue streak in her hair catching the sun. We'd stolen one last weekend at the shore. Bodies entwined in the attic, now mine alone. Sighs echoing into the rafters as dawn crept in. Parting had been inevitable. But the ache lingered. A bruise I pressed on purpose. Philly welcomed us with brick row houses and the Schuylkill River's muddy gleam. My off-campus apartment a third-floor walk-up with peeling wallpaper and a view of the L train rattling by. She helped unload boxes. Stacking textbooks beside her sketchpads. The space already feeling fuller. Home, she declared. Flopping onto the futon. Arms wide. Not yet. But I joined her. The mattress dipping under our weight. Her kiss chasing away the doubt. We made love slow that first night. City lights filtering through blinds like stars misplaced. Her whispers against my skin a litany of tomorrows. Fall semester hit like a freight train. Lectures on cellular mitosis blurring into late-night study sessions where Ivy doodled in the margins of my notes. She found temp work at a design firm downtown. Commuting by SEPTA with earbuds in. Returning with tales of corporate drones who mistook her edge for attitude. They want neutrals, she'd gripe over takeout lo mein. Chopsticks waving. I gave them fire. I'd laugh. Stealing bites. The warmth of her across the table a bomb against the grind. But cracks showed early. My lab partner. A guy named Trent from Biochem. Started lingering after class. His jokes landing flat but persistent. You seeing anyone? He asked one Tuesday. Packing slides as rain lashed the windows. Just focusing on school. Lie by omission. But it stuck in my throat. Trent was safe. The kind mom would approve. With his khakis and frat boy grin. Ivy was wildfire. Unpredictable. She sensed the shift that weekend. As we wandered Rittenhouse Square. Leaves crunching underfoot in shades of rust and gold. Leaves swirled in eddies. Vendors hawking chestnuts that steamed in the chill. You're quiet, she said. Linking arms. Breath fogging the air. Exams. Half-truth. Trent had asked me to a study group that doubled as a bar crawl. And I'd said maybe. The word a betrayal I couldn't unsay. Her eyes narrowed. But she let it slide. Pulling me toward a fountain where pigeons scattered. Race you to the art museum. Loser buys falafel. We ran, laughing breathless. Her hand warm in mine despite the bite. Inside, Rockwell's gallery swallowed us. Whispers echoing off marble as we traced exhibits of twisted limbs and shadowed faces. She paused at a Wyeth painting. A woman gazing out a window. Isolation etched in every line. That's fear, she murmured. Finger hovering near the canvas. The kind that keeps you inside. I swallowed. Throat dry. Or protects you. She turned. Gaze piercing. From what? Living? Dinner was falafel wraps on a bench. Sauce dripping as dusk fell. Street lamps flickering on. Tell me, she pressed. Wiping tahini from my chin with her thumb. Touch lingering. It's nothing. Just pressure. From everywhere. The admission hung. Fragile. She nodded slow. Chewing thoughtful. We're in this. But you gotta meet me halfway. That night? In the apartment's steam-heated haze. We argued for the first time. It started small. Her leaving paints on the kitchen table. Streaks of cobalt on the formica. Clean up, I snapped. Scrubbing harder than needed. Frustration boiling over from a failed quiz. Jesus. Holly. It's art. Not a crime. Her voice rose. Palette clattring down. It's mess. And I'm tired. The words unleashed it. Trent's invite spilling out. My maybe a confession. She paced the narrow living room. Arms crossed tight. So what? Go. If that's what you want. It's not. Panic clawed up. And I grabbed her wrist. Pulling her close. I said maybe to shut him up. You're it. The only. Her breath hitched. Eyes searching mine. Then softened. Prove it. I did. Then and there. Pushing her against the wall. Kisses fierce and claiming. Hands roaming with desperate need. Clothes shed in a trail to the bedroom. Bodies colliding in a tangle of limbs and gasps. The headboard thumping rhythm like a heartbeat. Mine, I whispered into her neck. Her moans the sweetest affirmation. Release crashing over us in shuddering waves. After. Curled sweat damp. She traced lazy circles on my back. No more maybes. Promise. Sigh escaped. Content. But the seed of doubt had taken root. Tiny and insidious. Winter crept in stealthy. Snow blanketing the city in hush. Holiday lights twinkling defiant against the gray. Ivy's firm gig extended. But paychecks were thin. Her frustration mounting over revisions that neutered her vision. They want beige, she vented one blustery night. Snow gusting past the window as we huddled under blankets with mulled wine. Beige pays bills. Practical me. Always the anchor. Her laugh was sharp. Bills aren't life. We ventured out for the holidays. Her van reclaimed for a road trip south to her parents in Vineland, New Jersey. The drive a white-knuckled blur through flurries. The laundromat home was a squat brick building with apartments above. Scent of detergent and fried rice greeting us. Her folks, May and David, were wary at first. Eyes flicking between us over dim sum platters. Questions veiled in concern. Graphic design? Unstable, her dad said. Folding dumplings with precise hands. Ivy bristled. Chopsticks pausing. It's passion. Dad. Not everything's a spreadsheet. Tensions simmered through the visit. Her mom pulling me aside in the kitchen. Voice soft over steaming pots. She follows heart. You steady her? I'll try. The weight settled. Unfamiliar but fitting. New Year's found us on the Delaware rooftop of a friend's party. Fireworks blooming over the river. Her body pressed to mine against the chill. To us, she toasted with plastic champagne. Lips cold and sweet on mine. To Ben's. The word carried new meaning. Our path twisting but shared. Spring thawed the ice. Cherry blossoms dusting Fairmount Park in pink confetti. My grades held. Labs less suffocating with her sketches taped to my locker. Reminders of color in the sterile white. But Trent persisted. Cornering me after a group project. His cologne cloying. Dinner? As friends. No. Firm this time. Walking away before regret could whisper. Ivy waited outside. Leaning on a lamppost. Cigarette dangling unlit. Handled. Done. I took the smoke. Crushing it under heel. All in. Her grin was wolfish. pulling me into an alley kiss that left me breathless. Walls rough against my back. Good girl. Summer beckoned again. But this one different. Her gallery pitch accepted for a small space in Center City. Opening night loomed. Nerves fraying her edges. What if no one comes, she fretted one muggy afternoon. Pacing our now cozy apartment. Plants thriving on the sill from her green thumb. They will. It's you. I pulled her down. Straddling her lap on the couch. Kisses trailing to soothe. Our lovemaking was playful then. Laughter bubbling between touches. Her hands guiding mine with patient fire. Peaks reached in synchronized sighs. But the night before the show. Doubt resurfaced in her eyes. Mirror of my own from months back. If it flops. We won't. Certainty for us both. The gallery buzzed. Exposed brick and track lights casting her waves in ethereal glow. Friends mingled. Critics scribbled notes. Her hand sweaty in mine as the curator toasted. To edges that cut true. Sales trickled. Then flowed. A collector buying 3 pieces on the spot. Elation lit her face. Pulling me into a storage room kiss. Quick and triumphant. We did it. You did. Back home. Champagne fizzed. Bodies celebrating in candlelight. Slow dances into dawn. Her whispers of forever against my skin. Yet autumn whispered changes. My senior year a countdown to decisions. Job offers and labs trickled in. Steady paths that tugged opposite her nomadic pull. Philly's home now, she said one crisp evening in the park. Leaves swirling at our feet. Is it? The question slipped. Fear's child. Her paws stretched. Painful. Make it ours. I nodded. But sleep evaded that night. Ceiling cracks mapping uncertainties. Love was the bend? But could it hold without breaking? Graduation caps sailed like blackbirds over the quad. May sun gilding the chaos. Families cheering from bleachers slick with anticipation. I walked the stage in cap and gown. Diploma clutched like a talisman. Ivy in the crowd with a sign scrawled in Sharpie, Holly's edges. Her whoop cut through the din. Pulling a grin from me I couldn't suppress. After. In the crush of hugs and photos. Mom enveloped me. Her perfume floral and familiar. Proud. Baby. That lab job in King of Prussia? Perfect start. Ivy hovered. Introducing herself with a handshake Mom returned coolly. Eyes appraising the ink peeking from her sleeve. Graphic designer. Creative. Instability, Mom murmured later. Over rubber chicken at the reception hall. Her voice pitched low. You deserve steady. Holly. Steady's overrated. Echo of Ivy's words. Defiant. The party wound down to stragglers. Fairy lights twinkling over folding tables. And we slipped away to the van. Now parked legally in a lot near the river. To edges, she toasted with warm beer from a cooler. Engine rumbling as we drove aimless through the city. Ben Franklin Bridge glowing ahead. We crossed into Jersey. Windows down. Night air thick with jasmine from blooming lots. At a pull-off overlooking the water. We spread a blanket in the back. Stars pricking the velvet sky. Job starts Monday, I said. Head on her chest. Heartbeat steady under my ear. She hummed. Fingers combing my hair. Lab rat life. Paying life. Practicality's armor. Cracking already. Her sigh ruffled strands. Don't lose yourself in it. I won't. Kiss sealed it. Bodies shifting under the open hatch. Moon silvering skin as we moved together. Urgent and unhurried. Gasp sinking with the lap of distant waves. Release came soft. Sighs fading into quiet holds. Monday dawned gray. The lab in King of Prussia a glass-fronted hive of pipettes and monitors. My cubicle a corner nook with a wilting ficus. Colleagues nodded hellos. White coats starched. Trent among them. Promoted to lead tech with a wink that soured my coffee. Holly. Back in the fold. New chapter. Neutral. But his proximity chafed. Memories of maybe's a ghost. Days blurred into protocols. Slides under scopes revealing worlds too small to touch. Home was sanctuary. Ivy's dinners steaming on the table. Her stories of client wins a counterpoint to my sterile recaps. Saw a cell divide today, I'd say. Fork twirling pasta. Like magic. But mechanical. She'd lean in. Eyes alight. Draw it for me. Sketches filled our fridge. her lines breathing life into my data. But fatigue crept. Late shifts leaving me drained. Collapsing beside her with barely a goodnight kiss. October brought her first solo exhibit in New York. A loft space in Chelsea humming with art world types. We drove up in the van. Skyline piercing clouds. Her nerves electric as we unloaded canvases. Breathe, I murmured in the elevator. Hand on her back. Inside. The crowd swirled. Wine glasses clinking. Murmurs rising over jazz from hidden speakers. Her pieces dominated. Abstracts of bent horizons and fractured lights. Titles like Tidal Pull evoking our shore days. A gallerist cornered her. Card exchanged. Opportunities blooming. I mingled solo. Champagne fizzing light in my veins. Until Trent's voice sliced through. He tagged along with lab mates. Suit ill-fitting. Grin too wide. Fancy. Didn't peg you for the scene. Supporting Ivy. Emphasis on her name. But he pressed. Hand on my elbow. Dance? For old times. Pull away. But the room spun. Alcohol loosening guards. One song. Harmless. His hand low on my waist. Ivy caught my eye across the floor. Expression shuddering like a storm front. Later. In a diner off Times Square. Neon buzzing overhead. She picked at fries. Silence thick as grease. Fun night? Work people. Evasive. Guilt gnawing. Trent. Name flat. Knowing. Nothing. But the dance replayed. Innocent yet tainted. Her fork clattered. See you dancing. Close. Jealous. Teasing. But edged. Hurt. Simple. Devastating. Thought we were past maybes. We drove home in fractured quiet. Manhattan fading to turnpike dark. At the apartment. Words escalated. Voices bouncing off walls. You think I don't see the pull? Steady guy. Steady life? She paced. Arms flailing. It's not that. Tears hot. Voice breaking. I'm trying. For us. By drifting back. Accusation landed. True in its sting. Bed was a chasm that night. Her back to mine. Sighs unspoken in the dark. Morning brought coffee and apologies. Her arms around me at the sink. Fight for it, she whispered. Or let go. I choose you. Resolve hardened. And we mended slow. Kisses tentative turning fervent. Bodies reaffirming vows in the shower's steam. Water cascading as climaxes crested. Cleansings. Thanksgiving anchored us. Flight to California for my aunt's spread in San Diego. Palms swaying against a sky too blue for November. Ivy charmed the family. Her sketches delighting cousins. Mom thawing over pie. Admitting. She's got spirit. More than that. Pride swelled. Hand under the table squeezing. But jet lag lingered. Work piling upon return. A promotion dangled if I logged overtime. Lead tech, my boss said. Eyes gleaming. Trent slot. If you want it. Temptation whispered security. But Ivy's face at the New York dance haunted. I declined. Citing balance. The word new on my tongue. Winter holidays split us. Her to Vineland for laundromat warmth. Me to moms in the suburbs. Tinsel-draped tree mocking solitude. Phone calls bridged miles. Her voice tinny over eggnog cheers. Miss your chaos. Miss your fire. Longing ached. Nights cold without her curve. New Year reunited us at a cabin in the Poconos. Snow blanketing pines. Fireplace crackling welcome. We arrived bundled. Shedding layers by the hearth. Wine warming veins as games turned intimate. Truth, she said. Cards discarded. Sitting cross-legged in flannel. Scariest thing about us? Losing you to my safe. Honest. Raw. Her eyes softened. Crawling to straddle me. Kisses trailing fire. Not happening. Night unfolded in explorations. Fingers and tongues mapping familiar yet fresh. Sighs building to cries that echoed off logs. Peaks shattering in shared bliss. Spring greened the city. Dogwoods blooming along the Schuylkill trails where we ran. Breaths sinking in rhythm. Her career ascended. Commissions from Brooklyn collectives. Our apartment walls now galleries of her work. But my lab grew stifling. Data points blurring into monotony. Trent's advances veiled in team building invites I dodged. One April evening. Storm raging outside. Thunder shaking windows. She unveiled a new piece, two figures entwined in wave spray. Faces mine and hers. Titled Anchors Bend. For us, she said. Brush still damp. Tears blurred it. Pulling her close. Perfect. May brought decisions. A conference in Boston offering escape. Go, she urged over breakfast. Avocado toast crumbs scattering. Network. Grow. With you? Counter. Hopeful. Always. But her eyes held a flicker. Unspoken shifts. The trip was panels and handshakes. Hotel rooms echoing empty. Calls to her a lifeline. Miss you, I confess nightly. Voice husky. Prove it when home. Tease laced with heat. Return was frenzy. Airport reunion in a cab kiss that fogged windows. Home a whirlwind of need. Clothes shed at the door. Couch creaking under thrusts and moans. Release explosive. Binding. Summer hummed. Our anniversary marked with a shore return. Seaside Heights boardwalk alive with echoes. At Saltwater Brews. Now under new management. We ordered black coffees. Her napkin sketch a heart bent but whole. Full circle, she said. Hand over mine. Not ending. Affirmation. Deep. But whispers grew. Her offers pulling west to LA galleries. My roots digging east. Visit, she proposed one sunset walk. Waves lapping ankles. More than that. Yearning surfaced. Fears twin. Conversations deepened. Nights tangled in sheets. Bodies sated but minds racing. What if we build bridges, she murmured post-climax. Sweat cooling. Or a road. Compromises seed. July heat peaked. A heat wave trapping us indoors. Fans whirring futile. Over iced tea on the fire escape. Fireflies winking below. She broached it. LA Scout called. Residency. 6 months. Heart stuttered. Go. Us? Question hung. Pivotal. Follow. Word escaped. Freeing. Her grin split the dusk. Together. Packing commenced. Boxes labeled temporary, then loaded for the cross-country haul. Last Philly night. Friends toasting at a dive bar. Jukebox crooning Springsteen. To Ben's, glasses clinked. To home. Her eyes on me. Anchor found. The drive west was epic. Plains stretching endless. Mountains rising like promises. Stops in motels with neon hearts. Lovemaking under thin sheets. Sighs mingling with coyote howls. This, she said in Kansas dust. Hand in mine at a roadside diner. Is us. Forever Ben's. Laughter light. Future open. LA sprawled golden. Her residency a bungalow in Silver Lake. Hills dotted with palms. I found temp lab work at UCLA. Beakers familiar but sun brighter. Evenings were hers. Sketching by poolside. My head in lap as she dreamed aloud. But adjustments chafed. Traffic snarl stealing hours. Her late critiques leaving me solo with takeout. Miss the quiet, I admitted one canyon hike. Trails dusty underboot. Miss you more? Pull close. Kiss under eucalyptus shade. Fall leaves turned in the valleys. Thanksgiving with new faces. Turkey charred but laughs genuine. Her show there sold out. Critics praising raw humanity, a celebrating in a rooftop bar. City lights sprawling below. Winter rain slick streets. Our rhythm settling. But a call from Philly pulled, mom ill. Flu turned pneumonia. Voice weak over line. Come home. Ivy drove the red-eye east. Van cutting fog. Hospital fluorescence harsh on mom's pallor. Brought your girl, I said. Gripping her hand. Mom's smile faint. Steady now? Learning. Ivy's nod. Presence solid. Recovery slow. But we stayed. Van parked in suburb drive. Me shuttling care. Her designing remote. This is bridge, she said nightly. Bodies comforting in guest room twin beds pushed together. Touches gentle. Climaxes quiet reassurances. Spring bloomed back east. Mom stronger. Us renewed. Stay, she asked. But LA called. Residency unfinished. Visit. Compromises art. Return west healed divides. Summer finding us on Malibu sands. Waves crashing as we walked. Rings simple on fingers. Vowed in a courthouse whim. Bent together, she said. Salt drying on skin. Whole. Heart stirred. Eternal. Years folded like origami. LA's sprawl our canvas. My lab role evolving to research lead. Grants funding passions beyond cells. Ivy's studio thrived. Murals gracing cafes. Her name whispered in art circles from Venice to the valley. We bought a Craftsman in Echo Park. Porch swing creaking under evening wines. Dog named Waverly curling at feet. But Ben's persisted. Mom's health a tether east. Her calls biannual pulls. Grandkids, she'd hint. Voice-laced nostalgia. Someday, I'd deflect. Ivy's eye roll shared over speaker. Adoption whispers surfaced in quiet moments. Her sketches of tiny faces speculative. One August dawn. Heat already pressing. She shook me awake. Sketchpad thrust forward. Look. A nursery scene. Cribs and mobiles. 2 children with our blended features. Eyes fierce. Us. Family. Tears welled. Pulling her down. Bodies waking slow. Kisses deepening to thrusts that built deliberate. Sighs crescendoing to shared release. Future seated in sweat. Talks turned plans. Agencies vetted. Home studies invading privacy with questions probing. Stable, social worker asked. Clipboard poised. Bent but unbreakable, Ivy quipped. My hand squeezing under table. Approvals came swift. A sibling pair waiting. 4 and 6. Foster shuffled too long. They're yours, caseworker said. Eyes kind. Pickup day dawned clear. Agency parking lot a blur of nerves. Their small hands in ours as we drove home. Backseat chatter tentative. Ice cream, the girl? Lila asked. Braids swinging. Tonight, Ivy promised. Rearview grin. Chaos rain gentle. Finger paints streaking walls. Bedtime stories in dual voices. Our nights stolen in whispers post-tuck-in. Lovemaking hushed now. Door cracked for cries. But intense. Quick peeks in laundry folds or shower steam. Connection deepened by witness. Mom visited first Christmas. Flight west laden with gifts. Her arms around the kids melting reservations. Beautiful, she breathed. Snow globe clutched. You too. Embrace tight. History's mending. Seasons cycled. Kids growing gangly. School runs and soccer fields filling calendars. Ivy taught workshops at elementaries. Her fire igniting young hands. Me lecturing adjunct on cellular wonders. Lab days balanced with family picnics. 10th anniversary marked on the shore. Seaside heights calling nostalgic. Boardwalk lights same as memory. Kids dashed Ferris wheels. We lingered at saltwater brews. Now ours in Lee swim. Black coffee steaming. Full circle, she said. Napkin heart doodled fresh. Endless. Kiss soft. Waves applauding. But life's bends sharpen mid-40s. Mom's decline real. Cancer shadowing scans. Come, she urged from Philly bed. Voice frail. We packed the van. Kids homeschooled en route. Cross-country a family odyssey of diners and detours. Hospice settled her last months. Our bungalow sublet. Philly apartment reclaimed temporary. Ivy sketched her portraits. Capturing essences fading. Kids reading stories to great-grandma's lap. Goodbye, Mom whispered final. My hand in hers. Ivy's arm around shoulders. Love her well. Always. Sobs racked. Release in shared grief. Her body anchor through nights of keening. Return west healed slow. Kids asking of stars where grandma watched. Our talks deeper. Therapy untangling loss. She saw us, Ivy said one canyon sunset. Wine shared on blanket. Approved. Laughter through tears. 50s brought silver threads in hair. Lines etching stories. Kids off to colleges Ivy's east. Mine west. Empty nest echoed. But we filled with travels. Van upgraded to RV. Routes tracing lighthouses from Maine to Monterey. One Maine fog-shrouded morn. Acadia trails damp under boot. She paused at overlook. Portfolio from youth unearthed. Remember? Chasing. Hand in hers. Timeless. 60s softened edges. Grandkids toddling visits. Her murals community fixtures. My research papers cited in journals. Health scares nipped. Knees creaking hikes. But walks persisted. Arms linked against winds. 70th birthday hers. Surprise party in our yard. String lights and jazz. Friends toasting edges eternal. Dance floor cleared. Her in my arms. Slow sway to Springsteen. Whispers close. Best band. Best life. Kiss enduring. Sighs content. Later. Bed warm with wine and memory. Bodies familiar terrain. Touches reverent. Climaxes gentle waves. Afterglow holds profound. Years waned graceful. RV parked permanent by ocean. Seaside echo chosen end. Kids visited often. Grandkids laughter filling spaces. Our hands intertwined constant. Final autumn. Leaves gold as firsts. She weakened. Sketches slowing. But eyes still chestnut fire. No regrets, she murmured bedbound. My vigil constant. None. Tears traced. But peace profound. She slipped dawnlit. Hand in mine. Breath easing to quiet sea. Grief bent me double. Days blurring gray. But kids' arms. Grandkids' hugs straight and slow. Solitude taught resonance. Her art on walls companions. Napkin hearts in drawers talismans. I wrote then. Memoir of stirs. Publishing small. Title, Bent Hearts. Readings drew crowds. Her spirit in lines. Questions met with stories of coffee spilled and roads shared. Old now. Porch swing solo but full. Ocean murmur her voice. I trace compass tattoo faded. Smile at bends that led here. Life's not straight harbors. But tides pulling true. To loves that endure. Fractures gilded gold. In her absence. She remains. Heart stirred eternal. Humanistic echo, we bend. We break open. We love wholly.